If you're still trying to figure out this whole fasting thing as a tool to lose weight and be healthier, then this video will explain that a little bit more. Hello, I'm Dr. James Bogash, publisher of Modern Health Myths. I went into the concept of intermittent fasting as it related to a study on lowering or improving response to chemotherapy and breast cancer. Today, this is a study that looked at how intermittent fasting could better fight off diabetes. It was a pretty simple study. There's different aspects of fasting. You can not eat for several days. You can do water-only fasting. You can do time-restricted fasting. Time-restricted fasting is probably going to end up being one of the more adaptable, easy-to-use, and powerful tools when it comes to overall lifestyle. So in this particular study, the researchers cut off food. Basically, the participants were able to eat from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's not really restricted. It's eating largely during daylight. And what it did, it essentially increased the fasting period by about 5 hours compared to 9 p.m. And so that's not really that hard to do. You just make sure your last meal is 3 o'clock, 3:30 or so, and don't eat the rest of the afternoon and evening. If you're committed, that's not really a hard thing to do. But the results in this particular study were pretty impressive. They found an 89% improvement in insulin sensitivity. Basically, insulin sensitivity is the magic bullet when it comes to avoiding prediabetes and diabetes. The more sensitive your cells are to insulin, the better they act, the better they can handle sugars. So an 89% increase in insulin sensitivity is huge, and it goes a long way towards fighting off diabetes. I believe in particular this length of the study was, I'm going to check that right now, I believe it was only 2 weeks. Come on. Should have had this down. Yeah, so it was 2 weeks. So really, just a pretty short period of time, there were pretty drastic improvements in how the body was functioning. Like, that's 2 weeks' time to increase insulin sensitivity by 89%. That's not necessarily getting rid of diabetes, but if you're pre-diabetic or diabetic, this is going to go a long way towards managing and controlling your condition. So much so that you're going to have to keep a close eye on blood sugar if you are diabetic, especially if you're on insulin, because that could become dangerously low in just a 2-week period of time. They also found that skeletal muscle, so muscle in the human body, under this program better absorbed both sugar and branched-chain amino acids. So in other words, the muscles, because we want more muscle mass in general, but we also want those muscles to take up more sugar. The reason being is that muscles are very selfish. When they suck up sugar, they don't release it. They just store it for its own use. The liver, on the other hand, can absorb sugar, but it stores it and can later convert it back to sugar and put it back in the bloodstream. Muscles do not do that. It's one of the reasons why muscle mass is one of our biggest defenders against diabetes. So the idea that in 2 weeks' time, just cutting off the time of eating at 4 p.m. had a pretty drastic improvement in insulin sensitivity, in the muscle's ability to take up both glucose and branched-chain amino acid is just a huge change. And that's not that hard to do. So just something to consider. As always, I will post a link to this particular study in the comments section. Make sure you like this video, share it with somebody who you think needs this information, and subscribe to the channel.